And now we stare. Kaylin's waving. I guess we can just wave at things now. I don't know.
It's said live. I don't know. That's why I'm waving.
It hasn't popped up with how many people can see us yet. 5 people. Excellent. Hello, word nerds. Happy New Year and welcome to our first live chat of 2025, which has been weirdly not difficult to adjust to saying. I don't know why. Usually it takes me like 3 months to adjust to a new year. This one's just like, nice, like important feeling number. So we're just here now. We're doing this thing.
Yeah.
So tonight we're talking goals and just kicking off the new year and I don't know, chatting about what we're excited about and all of that fun stuff. So I guess to kick things off, how are you guys all doing on goal setting? Are you setting goals for the new year? She was punctual. We called it too early. Hello, Erin. We're live.
Hello.
We're talking goals. Megan, goals. How are you doing?
With like setting them or with last year's goals?
With setting them. We're moving on from 2024.
Okay. Phew. That's in my past. Yeah, feeling pretty good. I got my bingo chart made. So I've had a few free spaces that I was trying to figure out what to do. But I figured that out last night. So feeling pretty good. I ended the year on a high because I had put for the last 2 years, organized this one cabinet in my kitchen. And I had put it on the 2025 bingo card. And then on the last day of the year, I organized the cabinet. So I had to take it off the card. So I felt very like, I've been really into
already ahead of the game.
Yeah, I've been feeling really into the rituals of New Year. Like, I'm going to like end the year the way I want to start it. I'm going to do my tarot after midnight on New Year's. And just like, yeah, I'm feeling good.
Excellent. Leah, how about you?
I, for the first time, am doing a bingo sheet of goals. Because usually I'm just like, finish writing the draft or finish revising this. And maybe I'll have like a reading goal. But yeah, most of mine are reading specific on here. But I also have some life things, life homework, as well as writing. Excellent. So yeah, I actually got to check one off yesterday. Tried a new recipe. So
awesome. Kyra?
Yeah, I am not probably doing a bingo card this year. I have some sort of holdover goals that I just sort of do every year. So like I want to listen to a certain number of albums. I want to read a certain number of books. And beyond that, I am actually a person who needs to like chill the heck out a little bit. So yeah, like for me, I'm going to try and do 50 new to me albums. I'm going to try to read 50 books. I want to write some, but I don't want to put like, actually my big goal this year is that I want to like reclaim some creative joy, which is like a not super tangible goal, but it's what I need. So I seem to be fairly writing productive regardless of the goals I set, but I like want to have more fun with it this year. So a little bit more chill for me, but that's what I'm up to.
I would like to be updated when you feel you've achieved it.
I will never achieve it. I'm setting myself up for failure now.
If you feel just a modicum of joy.
Okay, yeah. I'll let you know.
Kaylin, what about you?
I'm doing a lot of goals that like aren't very tangible this year. Like I'm starting my bingo card and I'm literally going through Canva and looking up all the different duct tape like elements they have, and it's all going to be taped together. Because like this year's pretty much just going to be like survival. Like I told Kelly, I think I'm going to be a little bit more selfish this year in like reclaiming time that's mine. I'm really bad at that. And I do want to like read more this year. So I'm trying to figure out what a good number for that is. I do need to finish crocheting Charlie's blanket, but then I want to like crochet something like what Des does. Like that's not a blanket and not a hat, like something a little bit more creative there. But a lot of them are just like get healthy. And I don't think I want to set specific goals to that because then I'm going to like be very specific with that specific goal. And I want it to be something that's like, I know I'm doing it for the right reasons and I'm not just doing it because I, put something down on a paper. But I'm trying to fill in the bingo card. I still have a ton of spaces left though.
Have you
That's where all the
seen
fun things come in.
those blankets? I was trying to come up with stuff, and then TikTok started feeding me those crocheted flower blankets, and they're so
Mm-mm.
cute. So I ended up putting crocheted flower blanket on my bingo card because they're
Nice.
so cute, and I think I could do that.
Yeah, just like
Like, I
little
wouldn't
bits
do
and
a-
pieces.
Yeah, like I want to do a granny square blanket because I feel like that's like I could do that in pieces. Like I can make a granny square and then later put it all together. But just making the blankets like all in one go, like they're so big and it gets so
Oh,
hard
yeah.
to maneuver around them. But
And
it's
then when
also
it's like
it's really good
yeah.
to like zone out and do though as well.
For sure. But because I feel like one of my first like crochet projects was a blanket, and I did it. But then like I spent so much time on it, and it was my first project. I'm like, this is a horrible looking blanket. I'm not going to use this.
Charlie's
my
is
lines
coming
are,
along
like,
really well.
straight. Yeah.
I'm doing like a
Mhm.
basket weave stitch, so it like visually it looks really cool, and there's like you don't have to count as much because of the way that the stitch is. You can see it like visually a lot easier. So I think
cool.
this year part of my reading goal is going to be to listen to audiobooks as I crochet.
Nice.
Erin, what's in store for you?
I'm with Kaylin on this one. My goals are less tangible than usual. I have some general like kind of overall I would like to be healthier. And then I think I'm gonna like kind of narrow it down as I go along because I don't want to set very specific goals knowing that I have this new job that's like taking over my life and then feel like I've like immediately failed all the new goals. So I want to figure out like what I can work into the day. Like maybe it's just drinking more water. Maybe it's like remembering to have a proper lunch on time before I'm like starving and just remembering. Yeah. So just like little, like fairly reasonable things that I want to start trying to put into place. And then writing goals are a bit less specific than usual as well. It's just like, yeah, it's a little bit more survival with my own writing this time. So yeah, it's like I need to finish this rough draft of Wild Hunt to send in, and hopefully that will be in the next few months. So yeah, I'm hoping to get more specifically into the details of those goals because I would like to have enough detail in order to be able to see that I'm implementing them, but I also want to walk the line between like biting off more than I can chew. So we'll see how it goes.
I learned a lesson from Megan for when I was making my goals for this year, of like not making something I can fail. Of like she missed 1 month of journaling and she was done on a square.
Exactly.
I was so mad. I journaled so much all year, but I journaled so much in September that I thought I had journaled in October, and I hadn't.
So I didn't want to do anything where it's just like, well, that's done. That's a dead square. And you're looking at the
especially
other
something in the
two rows
beginning.
on your bingo card of like, well, these are never going to be worth anything.
Exactly.
I still did it again. I added that one to my bingo sheet again because I do like it.
Is it just journaling monthly?
I don't necessarily do it like just once a month, but the goal is to do it at least once a month. But I write them like letters to my son, and that helps me feel like I want to do it more because I feel like I'm like writing something that he can have later.
That's really
when
sweet.
like he's
That's so
grown.
cute.
And just like details about his like childhood and stuff. I started doing it like after my dad died, when I was like, oh wow, like a part of my childhood has gone with him because only he remembered it. So yeah, I started doing that to try to like have something to give to him. And I really like it. It's really fun. So
That's really, really sweet. I really like that idea. But I'm also torn because like my journal is not for children's eyes. I curse so much in it.
do a separate one. I swear in it too. He can handle
Secret
swears.
one, no one's allowed to read.
Yeah.
It's funny.
And Happy New Year and hello to everyone joining us in the chat. We are so happy to see all of your faces. Hoping you all had a wonderful holiday, got a chance to actually rest, read, etc., etc., etc. All good things. Yeah. Does anybody have any like?
Kelly?
Oh, right, me. I did a bingo card because I love a bingo card. And for me, like it is my way to like balance. Like I need to chill on goals, so there's less pressure. Originally, my like center goal used to be like, don't accomplish all the goals. I will fail
That's
if I
mine.
accomplish all the goals.
Aw.
Now I've got to do something unexpected instead because I want to be able to like get credit for something I didn't plan for. Like this last year, I bought a house which I was not planning for, so I got to actually cross something off, which was nice.
I like
So
that.
I feel like I wasted it if I had like a major milestone, but I didn't plan for it on my bingo card.
I really like that. Do something unexpected. Like do something unexpected yet cool. Like
Yeah.
it's a great thing to be able to cross off. Like one of the things I want to do this year is like there's blacksmithing classes in my
Ooh,
town,
that's cool.
specifically sword
Ooh.
forging, like swordsmithing.
Yes.
You have
one
to
of
do
the-
that.
Yeah, and one of the intro classes is like teaching you how to. It's just like a little baby knife, but it's like teach you how to forge a little tiny knife. And I'm like, if I'm not able to check this off on a list of things I want to do this year, I'm going to cry. Like, but yeah, maybe
amazing.
I'll just have a do something cool and unexpected box, and then that or something else cool can go in it. I like that.
Yeah. Kind of the opposite of like one of my. It's not on my bingo card because I'm not planning to do it for the whole year, but I'm doing like a no buying new a bunch of things like books, yarn,
Right.
things that I have plenty of right now. And the end of the list is no new hobbies. So if I don't already own the things, I cannot.
Good
start a
luck.
thing.
I think you say no new hobbies that you have to buy a bunch of stuff for. Like,
Yeah, because I've purchased things for hobbies that I have not done.
oh, me too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to be an
So.
oil painter. No, you're not.
Right? You get the high
in your
from purchasing
closet.
the things. Like maybe that's my hobby. Maybe my hobby is just buying the things.
It sounds very possible.
I'm trying to keep my local independent bookstore in business. They're new and they're struggling, so I have to buy books. I have to.
Oh, it's
You're
your
doing
duty.
your part.
It's your
I'm doing my
it's your
part
duty.
for my
I love it.
community. We need this bookshop.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And yes, we are talking about goal setting. We do this chat at the beginning of every year, just kind of, I don't know, getting excited about the year to come and what we're all working on and finding the balance of writing and reading and other fun stuff. And I feel like our goals have gotten less like aggressive over time. Now we're just getting through it.
It's definitely true.
If you do happen to be new here, we usually talk about books and writing. So most of our goals are creative. So,
I really like that, Kelly, what you just said, that like our goals are getting less aggressive. And it's like, that's really true. Cause like, I definitely feel like when we first started out, I was like, I'm gonna do this and this and this, and I'm gonna finish this chill chapter, whatever. And I'm gonna write 2 new books and sell a new book. And now it's like, you know, Kyra's going like, I want to embrace the joy of writing, and it's like survival. And like, I think that we've learned to get kinder to ourselves over the year, which was really necessary for you know, mental health.
yeah.
Well, I think not even just getting less aggressive, but getting more intentional almost. And that I think with the goal setting now that we do, a lot of us have like this very specific, like not just doing this because it seems like yay progress, but just like, no, this is something that like I really feel is going to have a positive impact in my life in whatever way, as opposed to just kind of just like, yeah, doing it because it feels like you're supposed to do it sort of goals.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It's because we're getting old.
Yeah.
Wiz,
Clarity or whatever.
Getting wise. Yeah, I like that we're changing the way that we set goals. A few of us have mentioned more general goals, and like that's often looked at as like a negative thing, like, oh, don't have general goals, have more specific goals so that you can do step by step and check off the steps. And like my passion planner, I love my passion planner. I get it almost every year because there's so much room for like, what did you learn and grow with this month and stuff. And sometimes I like that, and sometimes I'm like, no, don't tell me what to do. But one of their things they're so big on is like break down the details of each goal and like put it in the months. And I'm like, that's smart, but also that's not where I am in my life right now that I want to be doing that. And so I'm just doing like a modified version of that. But like, that's the general advice when it comes to goals.
Mm-hmm.
I like knowing the rules and breaking them, right? Like,
Yep.
this is
Yeah,
what
yeah.
works for us.
I just feel
I'd
like
actually-
too, I got really like discouraged with like publishing. Trying to set goals that way doesn't work with publishing.
Oh
You
yeah.
can do all those things and stick to your goals perfectly and still feel like you haven't moved at all.
Exactly.
So
Yeah, that's the thing with like I was thinking that actually when I was looking at the passion planner, like because they have this like goal map. If anyone doesn't know what a passion planner is, it's like I think it's sort of I don't know if it's specifically for creative people or it's just for people that are like really goal focused and oriented, but there's like a whole goal map on the front. They're like break down where you want to be in your lifetime, 3 months from now, or is it 6 months from now, 3 months from now? But it's like very like break it all down and then write it all into the next year of what you need to do for each step. And like, I always thought that was really cool. But if you're in like survival mode or like your year is going to be like really different than the ones before, or sometimes there's not that room for that level of detail, and there's no room for like change with that, right? Like the new job I got threw everything out, right? I was like, none of this can happen now. None of my goals that I wrote down are going to happen. I don't have that time. It's good to be a little more flexible, I think.
Karen, I don't know what happened over your holiday, but you came into 2025 incredibly wise. You're just like,
Yes.
Thanks. I drank a lot of champagne.
Noted.
That's the ticket. Excellent advice here.
Yeah. I just last year for me was a big survival year because I got like my dream job and then we had like a huge failure on January the 8th that messed up the whole year. So it was a really like personally like relationship wise rewarding year, but everything else kind of sucked. And a very like easy to be pessimistic year. I don't know. I feel like giving yourself more grace leaves room to be like, this could be a good year. Like this could be a really good one. There's no reason that wildly good things can't happen to me this year. So
I like that. And I especially like what Kelly said about like having that kind of like box with like something cool happened, but I didn't know it was going to happen. Like that's a huge milestone. And that's like amazing forward progress, but you didn't necessarily plan for that, right? Like you didn't know that exact thing was going to happen, or you'd find this exact space you can call home. Like, and that's like, I don't know, that's a huge life thing. So I really like keeping an open mind for like cool new things happening that you don't necessarily plan on.
But I also want credit for it on my bingo card.
Oh, absolutely. You're planners at heart.
Did this super cool thing unspecified.
I was thinking that with some of my goals, like my Goodreads goal, or I'm transitioned to Fable, but like my reading goal for this year is like actually a easy goal for me to reach in terms of just like if I keep even like a partial pace of what I normally read, I'm gonna blow that out of the water. But I made it because I like finishing that goal, and it makes me happy to mark it off.
Yeah.
I think for that reason, like I want to put like, lose X pounds this year, because like that's what I've always done in the past. But I think like that's something that's too siloed. I'm going to be too focused on that. Like what happens when I reach that? Am I going to still feel the motivation to keep going, or am I just going to revert back to like old habits and, kind of like falling back into that unhealthy category again? But it's like, I want to do like, I need to move my body more, but I want to do it because I want to do it. Like I'm trying to think of things to add to my bingo card, and I'm getting the vibe though. That's like, like, oh, hey, I have this chore that I have to do. I'm going to get up and do it. But as I'm on the way to the sink to wash the dishes, someone goes, oh, hey, can you wash the dishes? I don't want to wash the dishes anymore. I was going to do it on my own, but you took that away from me. I'm getting like that vibe if it's something that's super specific, but like I don't know how to make it to where I can add it to the bingo card.
I think
like a vision board. It doesn't have to be a bingo card. You can
Yeah.
like, these are my priorities for the year.
Mm.
Mhm.
I also I got ChatGPT to help me with some, like, I don't know how to phrase this in a way. This is what I
Yeah.
want, but I don't want it to be this. What do I do? And it did help.
Mm. I like there's this like phrase in the like health community or something. I kind of hate it, but also it makes sense to me. This like find joyful movement. And I'm like, okay, that's annoying, but I know what they mean. They mean like, don't give yourself this exercise regimen that you're going to hate. Like,
Yeah.
I remember trying to lose weight in like a few years ago, and I was like, I'm going to take up jogging. I'm like, I hated jogging. I went twice and was like, I'm never doing this again, ever again. My knees hurt. Everything hurts. And then like, eventually kind of like, I started doing hot yoga, and you people might think I'm insane because you either kind of love it or you hate it. But I've been really, really obsessed with it. I want to that's one of my goals, is like getting back to it. And I do a little bit of yoga every single day just because it feels so good. And it keeps me from like waking up sore every single morning, which is what I used to do after I had Charlie. And that was 100% accidental. And it was just something I found that I like really, really liked doing. So I think for me, it was more like, find something you do, even if you didn't have that goal. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah,
Mhm.
for sure. It actually can be tricky. Of like, sometimes
hard
just you gotta
finding
try
something.
stuff. Yeah.
yeah.
For my like
Yeah.
healthy goal, I went with like do a handstand because I wanted something that I could work towards slowly, and I wanted something I can work towards in really small increments of just like body weight exercises I can do for 5 minutes. I don't need to go anywhere, and just make slow progress on different steps towards a thing. Just encouraging myself to move more, and for me, get stronger is kind of what I'm looking for this year. So like something I could do on my own without it being a big deal. With what I have, I don't have to join anything.
Yeah.
I just work on it.
It's funny because either going somewhere or not going somewhere at all have been like the two things that worked for me, weirdly enough, because like there's a yoga studio down the street, and that was like one of the biggest differences for me. Is I was like, I just hop in the car and go there, and they have a hot yoga studio. And then this, like more recently, I've been like, I can't leave my house. Like, I don't have the motivation to get off my butt and leave the house because this job is like all consuming. So I've been doing it. It is also something I can do at home in one little spot on a mat, right? And which has been wildly helpful. So yeah, I don't know. You could use that. You could be someone who has big resistance to doing it unless you've signed up for a class, or you could be someone that I'm not going to do it if I have to go outside of my house. So like use what works for you, right?
Well, and different things work in different stages of your life, kind of like you were saying.
Exactly.
And I think that's like just in general about any sort of goal setting, one of the best things you can do is kind of identify like, well, what are the obstacles? Like, why am I not already doing this? Is it because like it's overwhelming to go somewhere after I've done a full day of work? Is it like, you know, like for me, like one of the kind of silly ones was like, for whatever reason, like if I have to go like get dressed in like my workout clothes, then it's like, well, getting dressed is an extra task. And then it's like 2 tasks instead of one. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. It takes like 30 seconds to get changed. But so like realizing that was like, wait a minute, I work from home. I can wear like my workout pants. Like no one knows. And I can just put those on in the morning. And then when I'm done with work, it's what, I don't know. But just like that process of getting in tune with like, what are some of the things stopping me from doing this? And then like as those things change, being able to adapt to them is like great.
Yeah, it really is like so different for everybody. Because for me, it's like I don't mind the getting dressed, but if I'm sweaty after, I feel like I can't like just do my next thing. I'll feel gross. So I like mentally try to stack it in my head of like, when can I do this that it's not going to feel like I have to like stop and like reset. So doing things I can do in like small, they don't have to be a big workout. Showing up for 5 minutes when I don't want to show up for half an hour is what helps. But
I used to do, when I had, in the last house I was in, we had space for a treadmill. So I bought like a really cheapy secondhand one. And I would just start in the morning with like, it was a slow walk. I was not jogging, but I would just sit there, or I would like walk for like, I think I started with like 10 minutes or something. And I would just read a book. Right. And then I got to longer and longer walks, and it was like, it wasn't a lot. Like I didn't lose any weight, but I felt better.
Mhm.
So I was getting some exercise, and I started my morning reading every morning, which was great. I do not have space for that anymore because it is a big, it's a big thing.
I think I'm in that similar boat now to where it's like very similar to like, oh, the task of getting dressed is the task.
Mm.
We are very much we have a treadmill and it's accessible unless there's stuff piled on it.
Yeah.
And even if there's a basket on it and I walk by and I'm like, oh, well, there's a basket there. We'll start tomorrow. And it's still, it's like, it's a roadblock for me. And like, I'm going to start, like last year I started slow. I gave myself like 10, 15 minutes because like my knee is still not at 100% from when I broke it in 2021. So like my biggest goal isn't necessarily like losing weight. Losing weight is part of it and it is a big part of it, but I want the flexibility back.
Yeah.
Like I want to be able to like not have to like get in like an ulcer, not an ulcer, what's it called? I can't think of what it's called anymore, but like putting my sock on that leg is still pretty difficult because I don't have any flexibility in that leg as much, like on my hip side. Like I can bend my knee almost all the way now, but like my hip got messed up because I'm overcompensating when I walk and I'm like, I want to correct that. So it's like setting small increments, but also being very careful because you know, I have liver problems now. That started because I took way too much ibuprofen when I was in pain. So I was like, I don't want to get back on that habit of like, oh, my body hurts. Let me just, you know, take an Advil. I'll be fine. So it's like trying to find a balance that works, but also will be enough to give me progress. Like I just don't want to like do it and then like still feel like I haven't done anything.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah. You definitely want to start out with something really, really easy on yourself then. Cause the last thing you want to do is I'm speaking from experience because I always like want to get back into something and I go way, way, way too hard. And then end up being like, what have I done? I'm never doing this again. You definitely want to, even if it's like a minute the first time you start. Yeah. You know, it's just so you get like, I call it like getting on the mat. I just want to get on my mat and I'm just going to lie there in corpse pose. That's the first thing I'm going to do. If I do something after that, that's great. If not, that's still a form of meditation. Especially with your knee, because you don't want to injure yourself and get discouraged. Because that's the first thing I would do is just be like, well, this was a bad idea.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I think
I'll
that's
start
like
over in
the biggest
2026.
reason, right?
Yeah.
And that's so much my mentality. Like the whole month of December, I was like, I should start this now. And I'm like, I'll start in January. It's fine. January is when you start. But then it's that mentality of like, oh, I'm going to go hard and I'm going to hit the ground running and it's going to be fine. Like that's why I don't get all of my resolutions done in the past because I burn out so fast. Yeah. So it's just trying to find that balance of like easygoing, be kind to myself, let me like progress in a very healthy way instead of like forcing myself to do something that like I think would check off a box.
Yeah.
One of the goals I have is to go on a walk once a week because like when I was living in Dublin, I walked to university from my apartment every single day and that was an hour one way. So like I just like built it into my schedule of like, okay, I'm not I'm listening to music or I'm listening to an audiobook. So it's not like I'm just doing this. And so then it felt like more productive versus like if I go on a walk in my current village that I live in, it's pretty small. So it's not like I'm going for a long walk. And I feel like unless I'm out in nature, appreciating nature, sometimes it can feel like, well, is this walk all that productive? Were we going somewhere? No, we weren't. We just went around and then we came back. Versus like when I was in Dublin and I was going to university. So I think that's an interesting thing that I have to kind of unpack. So I decided to start with just the one a week because I can do a one a week. Not really.
I would suggest make it 52 so that if you miss a week, you can just walk twice.
Like you jinxed it. I just want to let you know, like you jinxed saying that you guys haven't gotten a lot of snow lately. Like you guys are gonna get like dumped on now.
I would love that. I would love that.
You can always do what I do and go walking at the mall. It's what also like retirees do usually. It's me and a lot of people who are way older than me doing the mall walking, but I love mall walking when it's snowy out.
Oh, that's fun. I like that. I definitely want to get into more forests this year.
Yeah, always.
Yeah, it's just it's really like soul cleansing, which is such a hippie thing to say, but it feels better every time I go.
Yeah.
When I moved over to Fable has like the monthly breakdown of like all the books you listen to, and I like listen to like or read or listen to. For me, it's a lot of audiobooks. I did like twice as many books in the month of September as I did any other month of the year, and I was like, oh, that's when the weather was nice, and I was like walking up the mountain every day because it was so nice outside, and it was just fun to be in the mountains.
Oh, it's nice.
Also, shout out to Crazy Fox getting a hood or cloak to write with. That sounds like a very cool goal.
Amazing.
Interesting idea. I like that. Because I talk about this a lot. Hardwiring your brain, like this means we write. I like that idea because it's like a physical sensation of having something very particular on you. I kind of have that with my headphones a little bit. When headphones go on, it's time to work, but not specifically writing because I do all kinds of things with the headphones. So a cloak is a funny idea. It's got like a Nazgul type
more
cloak.
Yeah.
Only problem is if I want to work in a coffee shop, I'm not sure how well received that would be.
Just do it.
Do it.
cares?
Me lurking in the corner like Strider and Lord of the Rings with my latte. Cool.
Got to build up that writer mystique.
Yeah, that's right.
Hell
Definitely
yeah.
would build up mystique.
One of the things I've been wanting to do with like training the brain, last year I was trying to train my brain to get better at like reading physical books again. This year, I think for the last couple of years, my writing has been in huge like spurts. Like, I'll do no writing for 6 weeks and then suddenly that's all I can do. Like I'm doing it at work. I'm not thinking about anything. I'm writing until it's done for like 3 weeks. And that's not very healthy. And I don't want to lose my job. So this year I was like, well, let's just try to like train ourselves to not do it all in one sitting. So my goal is to try and do it like once a week. And if it's close to once a week, I'll count it. But I made a little calendar that's when did I write 2025 so I can mark it off. And let's see.
Making just
And there's
pieces
no
of paper
word
with
count?
goal things on it. It's the best.
Right? What was that?
And there's no like you're not tying a word count to it, right? It's just hey, I wrote.
No,
something.
I just gotta do something. I'm color coding it too because I have a few different projects. So it's like a black X means it was
Amazing.
a fantasy project, an orange one means I worked on my horror. So yeah.
I remember V.E. Schwab did something like that, like back in like
Really?
a billion years ago. And I tried to replicate it, but I think I get too happy with the coloring and how I structure the stars that I put in the calendar that I was too focused on that than the actual writing part of it. But
That's why
maybe I'll
this
have
is
to
small,
check it out.
just an X.
Yeah, just an X.
I can put this in the Discord because this doesn't have any of my information on it. It's just a calendar.
Something I'm trying for the first time this year that I'm pretty excited about in terms of like making things more manageable and easier to start. So I like made my bingo card in Canva, and then once I finished it, I like made a duplicate page, and then I'm making like a January mini card that has like starting steps for the goals, and like not all of them have it.
Oh.
Some of them just have an X for now or have something like unrelated that I want to do this month. But like, what's just the first step in getting me towards this goal? So I'm not like reaching November being like, I don't know how to tune a ukulele. So but I'm looking forward to having like mini goals. And I don't even know if I'll keep up with it, but if I can even just like do the starting step on a bunch of them, I think it'll feel pretty good.
Like I like the idea of putting a number to it that's like arbitrary. Like instead of saying, "Oh, I'm going to do this every day or this every week," like say, "Oh, I'm going to do this 52 times." Like I was going through like my camera roll like about a week ago, and I realized like I've gotten really bad at taking pictures. Like I used to be somebody who took all of the pictures, and I didn't get to live in the moment as much. So I'm like, I'm going to live in the moment. Now that's all I do. But I have a very bad memory, and not having a good memory is definitely hereditary. So I'm like, I want all of the pictures now. So I need to figure out a number to put in there. Because right now I just put take more pictures. But like, how do I gauge that at the end of the year to mark that off?
I have a couple goals that are like, do more of this. And like, it isn't a specific thing, but I'll know it if it was more than last year.
That's
On vibes. I think it counts.
I definitely want to get more into stuff like Megan's kind of like habit tracker of these are the days I wrote type of thing. Because like that's definitely something I'm trying to figure out is the balance between the full-time job and
It's a
writing.
hard transition.
It's and it's something that I'm learning how to do. It's also weird because my job is writing. So it's on the computer. And by the end of the day, I'm like, I want to fling my laptop into the ocean. So it's difficult to sit down and look at it again. So I started doing a lot of stuff by hand, which is good, but also has its own challenges. But like, sometimes I'm also just like, my brain hurts. I don't know any more words. I've used my allotment for the day.
I don't want to know any more words.
So I have to figure out, and then on the weekends it's like, well, you're like mumming it up, right? So my kid will sit still for like about 5 minutes maybe. So you have to figure out, mostly bedtime is when I get to write now. So I have to figure that out because I can't be staying up till 2 every night, which is what I've been doing.
Not sustainable.
It's a vicious cycle too. Like
it's not sustainable.
I mean 2-3 a.m. and then getting up with the kids in the morning, making sure they get to school and all of that stuff. But then Christmas Day, I got really, really sick with a stomach bug. I was out for like 2 days straight. And then like my days were completely reversed leading up to that. And like that jump started me into like going bed at a reasonable hour now. Because I'm actually tired just like before midnight. So I'm like, midnight's still pushing it. I would still like to like prioritize sleep. But like when you feel like that's your me time, it's hard to turn
hard. I like Kaylin, I like so relate so hard to this right now. I've been staying up because it's my me time, and then it's also the time I get to do my writing, which has also become me time rather than like my like everyone's like, oh, you have 2 jobs, and I'm like, well, sort of, like I guess so. One of them is a job that I use to pay the bills, and the other one is something I like really like to do. So I'm often up till 1 or 2, and then like yesterday I was like, oh, I'll like wake up on Saturday morning, and then Charlie and I are gonna do this or whatever, and I just like didn't set an alarm because usually I'm up by like 11 or something. I slept for 13 hours. Charlie comes in and is like, it's 3 o'clock. I was like, oh my God. I'm so sorry. We can go to the trampoline park now. So I need to shift some things so that I am going to bed. Yeah, like you said, Kaylin, like around midnight or something seems much more reasonable.
It's so hard too when you like get antsy when you're not being creative. But it's like, oh, sometimes the day job just like takes it out of you, and you just it's hard. You're either gonna stay up too late or you're just gonna be too tired altogether.
It's true.
Talk of Erin's job that she loves, and I don't know, I a little bit feel like Crazy Foxy was calling Megan out for not hyping Erin up on her upcoming release earlier. Like usually Megan has jumped in by now.
I didn't even see that.
Megan is the hype machine all the time. That's coming out in like 2 days.
Right? That's crazy. Yes.
I know.
It comes out
the
of
cover is so pretty.
Thank you. She did such a good job on it. I shouldn't have done this. I probably should have just asked my publisher to send me a code because I'm sure they would have, but I had a credit on Audible and I was just like, I'm just gonna hit pre-order because I'm impatient and I want it now. Yeah, I'm just really stoked because there's like, for the alternating POV, there's 2 different voices, and then there's a third voice for the guy character. So
Very cool.
so cool.
I have a little bit of feeling for Tyler in the comments, who's just like, "Who are you people?"
We are mostly
Writer.
writers and
Yes.
readers.
Writers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do other
So,
various
And
creative
E.
things.
Latimer has a book coming out in just 2 short days, and we're all very, very excited.
It's so weird. It's so close. Ugh.
Are you doing anything to celebrate on the day?
Well, it usually, like, my publisher asks me and they're like, do you want to do a book launch? Because they'll usually like arrange it for me. But I had this weird thing where I don't know when I'm going to get called in for the surgery.
Mm.
So for the BRCA1 surgery preventative thing. And so it literally could be like when they call me, it will be probably within like a week. They'll need me to come in. So I didn't want my publisher to plan like a big thing and invite a bunch of people and then end up getting called in for surgery like the week before. So probably going to just end up doing something like a dinner with a couple of writer friends and then just like take a bunch of pictures and put it on social media, basically. Yeah. So nothing that I couldn't like cancel on at the last minute if I needed to, because I would have felt too bad if like if I'd planned something big and then had to cancel. So yeah. Thanks, guys. It's very
But
exciting.
I also heard you're allowed to cancel things if you're having surgery.
I guess so. Yeah.
It is legal.
It just felt really weird and kind of risky to plan
Yeah,
like
no,
a big
I get it.
thing.
Well,
I like
maybe-
inevitably would have been called. They I don't know if I told you this. They called me like a couple of months ago or maybe last month and we're like, would you come in for the surgery tomorrow? Like they called me that day at noon and wanted me to come in for the surgery at 8 the next day. And I was
You're
like,
like, stop eating right now.
yeah. And I was like, like literally stammering, started to go into like a little bit of a mini panic attack. And the lady on the other end was like, no, like you don't have to. It's just because someone canceled their surgery and we're calling down the list. Like you're still on the list and everything. And I was like, okay, good. Because I was about to have a panic attack.
You would get to park off, do something unexpected on your bingo.
Yeah.
sheet.
Like I'd give me at least 3 days. Jesus.
I would feel very similarly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Until prep time.
So I think what else we normally cover. Like I feel like we usually talk about like what books are we excited about that are coming out this year, but I don't know how many of us are like good at that anymore.
Nope.
Like what is coming?
Not like
Aaron's
After
book,
Dark
that's
by
great.
E. Latimer.
I let the algorithms tell me what to read now. Like,
I have a bunch of books marked to read that are coming out in 2025, but if you ask me what books are coming out,
I do want to at some point make a list of like 25 books I'm really excited to read this year. Like not necessarily new ones, but just to like give myself when I'm in that like, oh, I could just like slump because I don't really feel anything. Which books am I kind of pumped about and just kind of have a short list. But Emily Wilde is soon.
Oh yeah, I think that's like end of this month or early next month. Maybe.
Yeah.
I think B.E. Schwab has a book coming out in 2025. It's got a long title. Something to do with burying. Oh, bury our bones in the midnight soil.
Oh yeah.
Taylor Jenkins Reid, who wrote Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, now has like an extended alternate history universe, and her book this year is going into like the first women astronauts. I'm like, this is a very like
Oh, cool.
subsection of my interests. So I will enjoy that book whenever it comes out. And the Hobbit game comes out in March. I can't decide if I'm excited about it yet because the reviews were kind of meh, but they had some time to turn it around. We'll see.
Now's Foolproof Guide to Falling in Love is coming out by Jessica Lewis. She has written 2 horror books, YA books, and this is her first romance one, and it's sapphic, so I'm excited for that.
I just had to say thanks to Andrew because ordering the new book. I really appreciate the support. Love you guys.
We do love you guys. We're going to get better at Discord this year. It's a thing we're doing for sure.
That is
make her
literally
proud
one of
of
my
this.
goals.
I'm not gonna set a goal I'm gonna fail, but I'll be around like I normally am.
That's one of her. It's not on my bigger card or anything, but it's one of those like more goals, and like more here is not hard to achieve. I can do more than I did last year.
Did y'all know that Talia Hibbert has a fantasy novel? It's 2026, but
Yes, I'm excited.
I'm so excited.
So Fable doesn't tell me the name of the series, and I don't remember, but I'm excited to read the second book in whatever series The Will of the Many by James Islington is. That was probably my best book of last year. I'm hoping some of you will read it this year.
Yeah, it's on my list to read.
Also, this will be the year I reread The September House because I gave myself last year
I was
off.
just going to mention that
Yes.
because I was like, Aaron, wasn't that the one you just finished?
It was.
I was like,
Yeah.
that's going to be
Oh.
very, very close to the top of my list this year.
Yeah. It
So I
was
remember
real
everybody
good.
talking about
Right?
I definitely want to read it in a physical copy
Same.
and see like the difference because I really enjoyed it. Oh my, like I did. I DM'd you guys like freaking out because that was one of the most intense, like viscerally disturbing endings of a book that I've ever read in my life.
Yeah.
And I've read a lot of books.
So you're saying I should get the physical copy? Like, is
I
it
like the
structured in a way
audiobook.
that like the physical copy would be better, or is it just a
I
preference?
think you could do the
It's
if you have a
different.
preference for audiobooks, I think you could do the audiobook. I'm just getting the physical copy because I really usually have a preference for physical copies and I want to experience it both ways.
I loved
Because
the
I'm all
audiobook,
about
though.
Kindle, page turner, tucked in.
Yeah.
Like I
Totally
I gotta
fine.
If
stand
that's
in
how
every-
you enjoy a book the best, definitely do that first. And then you could, but like I usually put on an audiobook and like kind of just half ignore it while I'm putting around. The last few chapters, I'm not kidding. My phone was like set up and I was just like this with my hands on the counter. I had stopped everything I was doing. And I was staring at my phone with like my jaw dropped open. Yeah.
The
God
thing about the
damn.
audiobook too is that because I do the same thing, I'll listen to an audiobook and clean up my house. So if my house is really clean, you know, I've been listening to a lot of books.
Yeah.
But it's so unsettling because there's a lot of like word repetition used as like a horror mechanic in it. So you'd be like cleaning the house. I might zone out just the teensiest bit. And then suddenly there's another, he's down there. And it's like, oh, he's down there. Oh no.
Oh no.
Yeah, for me it was the like I listened to audiobooks at increased speed over the normal speed, which never quite gets the horror vibe the way regular speed does. But I also cannot listen to them
does for
slower. I don't know, their voices just get a little squeaky and silly, and it just like
Less scary.
it takes me a step out of the vibe.
That's how my brain voice is.
Squeaky.
Yeah, just fast and just high pitched. I did get a physical copy for Christmas of We Used to Live Here, which I
Nice.
also really enjoyed on
Very
audiobook,
pretty.
but I felt like there was a lot I missed because it's like weird and recursive and stuff. So I'm excited to try and read this in physical copy as well.
Tyler, you can choose to do whatever you like. This is just a goal setting of things you'd like to do in 2025. So if you want to pick out a specific book that you'd like to read this year, great, but you don't have to.
Yeah. I think it's just people that are just letting us know, kind of telling us what books they're looking forward to. You know, you can be whatever book you want. Doesn't matter what book. Doesn't even have to be a book. It could be a magazine or a TV show you're really looking forward to. This
We're not the boss
year.
of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not your dad. Do
We're
whatever
not
you
even
like.
the boss of ourselves.
I think someone said that up higher. They're like, I don't like to do too many goals because then I decide I'm not the boss of myself and I don't have to do them. That resonates.
I do that
with
if
me
I
a
have
little.
like, because Megan, you said in the past that you like bribe yourself with candy or whatever, and that
Oh, I
if I
can do
try to
that,
do that, yeah,
I don't
And
have
if
the
I-
willpower for that.
No, if I try to do that, I'm like, I'm allowed whatever I want. I can eat this.
No one's gonna know. I'll totally do the thing after.
Can't stop me.
I'll just buy more.
Yeah.
Yeah, can do attitude. I like it.
I just added finish Hill House to my bingo card.
Nice.
Yes.
To not be scared to watch it.
I'll watch it with you. We
If
can
you,
do
yeah,
it.
if you need us to watch it.
I will
Anytime.
always rewatch Hill House. Yeah, literally during the workday.
It's like, especially if I get to watch it with someone else. Yes. I will cancel plans. Yes.
I always put one like thick book for the years on my bingo sheet. So last year it was House of Leaves. This year I put the Silmarillion. I'd really like to have read the Silmarillion.
Oof.
So
Good luck, girl.
see, everyone says that, but I was raised in a like extremely religious upbringing, and I don't find the Silmarillion any harder to read than the Bible would. Like it's the same.
But
Like,
is that
to me,
the
it's, like,
bar?
it's-
Yeah, I was
but it's like easier to read than the Bible, and I actually care about it. So
Is it like son of so and so begot so and so type level
No.
stuff? Okay, all right.
no, not at all.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
fair.
So it's not
Yeah.
that level of biblical.
No,
All right.
it's really just like a lot of mythology,
Mm.
basically. I guess is a better description of it. So I've read like
I'm-
a few chapters.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I think I might try to read a couple, even just one like classic this year, mostly because like they're free on Fable to do that, like annotating a book as you read it on your phone or whatever. So like there's a few that I probably wouldn't hate. So, I don't know.
I do have the Count of Monte Cristo on my list only because someone I think is doing a retelling of it, and it's a book that I want to read. So I was like, I should probably read the original first, so I have some idea of what's going on.
I used to do a yearly like long classical book, and I haven't done it for a couple years. I gave up midway through War and Peace. I don't know. It just wasn't. I think it was like something was happening. Well, no, like because like I read like other books like that. I read The Tale of Genji. I read The Brothers Karamazov. I've read Anna Karenina. I've read like Crime and Punishment. Like I've read a lot of sad Russian long novels. I've read The Count of Monte Cristo. I've read Les Mis. Like I've done a lot of these very long classical novels. What I think there was just something else going on in my life that I was like, I can't War and Peace this year. And once the streak had been broken, I was like, yeah, maybe I should finish War and Peace. It's still on my bookshelf.
I like using it as a verb. I can't War and Peace this year.
And like last year I got aggressively into Epic the Musical, which is like a musical retelling of the Odyssey. And then there was all that drama on Twitter that I just heard about on Blue Sky, but about there's like one woman who translated the Odyssey and all the like classics fanboys are like, this is trash. So I'm like, I want to read her version. I could be into that. If they hate it, I will love it just because. So
Hell
maybe
yeah.
I'll try that.
Speaking of reading classics, I also put on my bingo sheet that I want to read a Tingler, one of Chuck Tingle's novellas. I've read his horror novels. I feel like I should go back to his roots.
So I
I've gotta
just
pick
joined
one.
Blue Sky and like have been like trying to be active there. And I started following him, and like it's so unhinged. And I'm like,
I
I'm
love Chuck
dying
Tingle's
of curiosity.
social media presence. It's
It's
incredible.
amazing.
I
He's
wanted
like,
to read all of Chuck's Tingle's
don't
books,
do
but
that
there's
to yourself.
so many, and none of
There's
they're
so
not on
many.
Kindle Unlimited. It would be like $1,000.
Don't sign yourself
So I
up for that.
Just one.
You have an independent bookstore to support.
That's too much.
That's true.
That's too much
true.
tingle, Megan.
Theoretically lives in my hometown. I could be running
Yes.
into it at Walmart and never know.
You would never know.
You'd
since
know
they
from the
do not
bag on his head,
online.
I guess.
I don't think he wears that when he's at Walmart.
You don't? Not at Walmart?
No.
Okay.
It's disappointing.
Dang. It's disappointing.
But Kayla, that makes me think of like if you want to fill in your goal card and like some of those things, you like just doing one of like it doesn't have to be a whole thing. Of like
Yeah.
Leah was already able to cross off, she did a recipe, and like it doesn't
I
have to
think
be
I
a
want
whole
to do.
thing.
I think I want to do the
Mhm.
Rebel thing that we had talked about a little bit earlier. Instead of putting on there, I want to read a classic. I'm going to be like, I'm going to hone in on the never read a classic outside of William Shakespeare, and I want to like make that my personality this year. Like, I don't like every single English class I've taken through high school, through college, all of it. has been Shakespeare. And that's not an exaggeration. That is a little bit. I read A Mice and Men, and quite liked that. But like as an adult, I'm like, I don't know if I want to push myself to like dive into the classics as much, because right now I'm very much like, I want to read all the silly goose books. Like I just want to read everything else that's new that's out there right now. So maybe I'll put that on there. Like, don't read a classic.
Absolutely.
Because maybe
Don't read a
fault
I
of
like
me, and that will trick me into reading one.
You win either way.
Reverse psychology.
I want to be like an anti-bingo card where you're like, this year I am not going to do.
I'm not doing that.
not going to
on
read a
any
classic.
walks.
I'm not going to a different country. Not going to eat more carrots because gross. Funny enough, your goal not going to read a classic, or maybe just reading more Shakespeare, as it were. I want to read more smut this year.
That's all I'm reading right
Amazing.
now, Erin.
That is one of
Like,
my
book talk
self-improvement
Put
goals.
me in and has let me go. I'm
Well,
trying
it's like-
so hard to read something that's not that, but I can't.
You're gonna have to give me your Rex then, because like I do it for work now, right? So this is weirdly enough, like not only can I write this off, the spicy books that I buy for work, but also I can be like, oh yeah, I'm just doing it for work. But I also like one of my kind of I'm not gonna write it down as a goal because it's too much pressure, but like one of the things I want to start working towards is self-publishing someday. And I want to start getting into like, maybe not full on erotica, but definitely like paranormal spicy stuff, right? Just like write a bunch over the years, put it in a folder somewhere. And then when I've got like 8 or 10 of them, I can start publishing one a month or whatever. And like,
Nice.
so yeah, that's one of my vague kind of not written down, but hope to do that
So
someday.
I know in the
goals.
chat, I think it was Tessa maybe was talking about
Mm.
Rena Kent. They're very spicy.
Rena
I
Kent.
haven't actually read any of them yet. I think it's like, there's literally 34 books like in the series, and it varies between like, I don't know if there's anything sapphic, but I know there's like MM and there's all of the
Rena
above.
Kent.
They're very, very popular, but there was one last year called Lights Out that started out like Nevessa Allen. Like she literally would write a chapter and put it on Patreon, and like I think she marketed it. I'm not entirely sure. I didn't know the book until like it was literally released that week. It was on Kindle Unlimited. I had it on my Kindle Unlimited, and then it was like almost immediately taken down everywhere. People joined the Patreon to read it there, and it was taken down. And I'm like, I know what that means.
Why was it taken?
I've been industry adjacent for too long to know that like she got a traditional deal.
Oh yeah.
They got so
That'll
popular
do
so
it.
fast.
That's the crazy
And
thing. Like
She
this
got
is
a
why I
traditional
want to
deal and
Yeah.
audiobook. And
Yeah.
the audiobook is what sold it. So it was
The-
doing great by itself, but the
Yeah.
audiobook's dual narration,
Yeah.
and people are like obsessed with the male narrator. And
Yeah.
it's like top of the Audible, all of
This
the
is the
charts.
thing. Like
Wow.
this is why it is such a goal for me to get like A, to start reading more, to learn more about it, B, learn more of the like publishing around it, the indie publishing world around it, and C, getting into like start collecting a bunch so I can publish them, because I'm part of like a bunch of different Facebook groups who are all like spicy romance or paranormal erotica, and they're posting their numbers. They're like end of year numbers of sales. And I'm like,
They were doing that on
blew
Threads
me-
too.
it blew me out of the water. These people are making so much more than traditional publishing. Like, and I'm like, it's really cool that they shared these numbers too. Like, good for them. Like, obviously not all of them are making that, but just like these people are buying houses. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's like, obviously you have to be realistic, but at the same time, I'm like, there's so much potential in this area of self-publishing, So
I think that's what ultimately gave me the shift of going from like predominantly writing YA for like almost my whole life to like a year and a half ago taking the switch and being like, I don't think my brain wants to write for teenagers in this moment. Like I want to write for the 30-something who wants a book that's just silly and like I said,
And
like
fun.
I want to read something that's silly, that's like rom-com-esque, you know, like chick lit kind of like. Whereas before I was like, I don't read chick lit. Like I read young adult and I read this and I read that. And now it's like looking back, I'm like, I was such a snob. Like,
yeah,
I want to read everything.
Yeah. Well, and as a writer, like you can't afford to be a snob if you want to make a survivable amount of money. And you look at the market and it's like, these are where the really loyal readers are. These are where the readers that have the deep enough pockets and they're like, if they like the thing you write, they will buy all of your books. Right. I don't know. Like the more I know about publishing, the less snobby I get about like the type of genre I read or whatever, you know, like you want to make money, you gotta figure it out.
I think Kindle Unlimited is a big ticket in there as well.
That's definitely one of my, like, again, not really full on writing it down yet, but one of my goals is to like research a lot more about the self-publishing world and Kindle Unlimited, and because like it's very confusing to me.
Happy to help. Always here. I know stuff.
I so appreciate that. I have questions.
So not smut at all, but this does segue into the book I'm reading right now is what I want to recommend. Hopefully it doesn't disappoint me. Because it also got picked up to traditional publishing because it's doing so well. I'm reading Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinniman, which it's just like a random TikTok. It's like, this is great. I'm loving it. So I picked it up. And it's like, it's a lit RPG, which was, I remember being a thing in like self-publishing heyday. And I never liked any of them, but I'm loving this one. Where the concept is basically the main character was out in the street in the middle of the night trying to rescue his ex-girlfriend's Persian cat. And then the whole world gets like kind of smushed in a Hitchhiker's Guide way of like this big alien corporation's like, we're here, we're mining all your stuff. Suddenly the whole world is an 18-level dungeon crawl. And so we could get the planet back if somebody beats this dungeon. But it's all like set up like a video game, but in his head. So he's getting like, suddenly he can see subtext and he's getting achievements and loot boxes.
What?
He's just
that
like,
sounds awesome.
Him and his cat are just trying to survive this world. I'm only like a few chapters in, but I freaking love it.
I love
there's
it.
like
7-book series.
The tagline on the first book is "The apocalypse will be televised."
Yeah, so it's also like the dungeon crawl is like televised to the whole galaxy of like, it's a little Hunger Games of like he's gonna want to like be flashy in his kills to like get sponsors and stuff.
Sponsors, yeah.
And so
that type of stuff does really well.
So much fun.
Yeah, the
it's just fun
too. Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm really excited. I hope I love it because it is in Kindle Unlimited. There's a lot of books. I don't know where it is in terms of like, I'm listening to it on Audible, so I feel like I have the like traditionally published version, and I want to stick with that. So I don't know if authors have a chance to like update and like fix things as they make the transition. I want that version, but I'll see how the like pace of. I haven't even figured out like which ones are which yet. There's definitely some with like better covers.
Lit RPGs were like a big thing for a while. I do remember that. I had a friend who was an author who's traditionally published, but then he was also writing lit RPGs because they were selling really well at the time. And self-publishing them. And then he actually started a whole, I could need to check on this and see if it still exists, but he actually opened his own publisher to publish specifically lit RPGs. I don't know if it ever came off the ground or not.
My big thing, and like maybe this is a spoiler and will ruin everything, but it looks like the cat is still alive in book 7. And like that would have been my one, like I'm not reading this.
That's important. Yeah. Cat's gone, I'm out.
Can you say that?
There's still a Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinniman.
Did you say by Matt Damon?
I thought you said Matt Damon.
Okay. I have questions.
I think we would have heard of it before if it was by Matt Damon.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm very excited. It's such a like, I hadn't even heard of this and I'm loving this. Good way to start the reading year. We are actually over an hour though. So is there anything else we want to chat about? I assume next week is a write-in.
Yeah. Still doing our every other week write-ins. I did like earlier Andrew had a comment I liked. He said, I think one of my favorite ways to do goals is to give myself a theme or a mantra and just go in that general direction. And so I definitely think if like bingo charts or making big lists or vision boards or anything aren't your thing, I definitely still think like do something like that. Do something to, you know, the year is what you make it. And I get, you know, time's a construct and, you know, we're not really different in January, but, you know, we decorate for holidays so we can pass time. And so I think it's good to like try to come up with something you'd like to have happen this year. So.
And if you're not feeling it right now, I was getting a lot of like TikToks at the end that almost had me of like, you know, spring is the time of rebirth. This is the time for rest. Why are you doing this now?
Birthday goals.
Yeah, I'm doing this because I enjoy setting goals at the new year. It's why I enjoy the new year. But spring is also, and like my birthday is in the spring, and that's my secondary like goal setting time of year. I'm like,
I feel like
this is going to be when I set goals.
Yeah, you should have. We did quarterly goals, right? Like we should have times where we check in and be like, "How's it going? Do I need to readjust my goals?" You know, makes sense.
And we do have quarterly check-in chats scheduled for this year. So
nice. Megan is very ahead of schedule on planning this year for us. So year 11, it's going to be big. But by big, I mean much smaller than we
for magic. I want to feel magic and creative this year, and I'm gonna make it feel that way. So
Nice.
Well, thank you everyone so much for joining us, not just in this chat, just anyone who's been along for the ride, or Tyler, who has just shown up and will hopefully show up again. We're here every Sunday. Same bat time, same bat channel. Yeah, we're typically talking about books, but I feel like as each year goes on, it gets a little more like, here's just stuff that we love and are excited about. So
you never know.
Expect more of that.
Don't forget to buy Erin's book.
Yes.
It's called The After Dark. It's out on Tuesday.
Yes, I'm sure you'll be hearing about it from us on a fairly regular basis for the next few months.
Yes.
I'm very excited. And yeah, we will see you all next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.